Hey everyone, Jason here, and I'm back with another Nanocoaster video. Today I have ArieForce One from Fun Spot America in Atlanta. ArieForce One is a ground-up RMC iBox coaster that opened earlier this year at the Fun Spot America theme park in Atlanta, Georgia. This model is available from the park for about $40, I believe. I purchased it back in April when I had a chance to ride the ride. I don't remember the exact price, and unfortunately, they didn't put the price on the box. So I'm just kind of going from memory, but it was about $40. Once you open the box, you'll find the base plate, a single sheet of metal pieces, a single one-sided sheet of instructions, and a tip sheet telling you how to cut out the pieces. Now the first step you're going to want to do with any Nanocoaster model is going to be to remove this blue plastic film from the black base plate. This is just there to protect the black shiny finish of the base plate as it's being shipped to you. So to peel this away, you can just kind of get your finger underneath one of the edges and pull it away. On the top of the base plate, you're going to have the entire track layout kind of cut out of it, and so you're going to have to peel it off in multiple pieces. On the bottom, you can usually peel it away in just one piece. So there we have the base plate ready to go. If you've seen my other videos, you know that typically I like to add a little logo somewhere to the base plate. We do have the little sign here with the logo. I typically add a little bit larger one with vinyl. However, I had a little bit of difficulty with the ArieForce One logo. I may add it at a later date, but that won't be part of this video. So we're just gonna kind of be building the stock kit for now. Once we have the base plate ready, the next step is gonna be to get your metal track pieces cut out. The tip sheet's gonna tell you to use something like nail clippers. I like to use wire cutters. I'm not saying these are the best ones, there may be better ones. These were just some that I purchased on Amazon. I do have a link down below if you would like to purchase these same ones. These have been pretty good for me. There may be better ones, but these come in a 2-pack, I believe. So there is a link below to these wire cutters. So with each of these metal pieces, there's gonna be little connectors around them. And we're gonna simply go around each piece, cutting each connector with the wire cutters, and then popping the piece out and putting it off to the side. I'm gonna go through and cut all these really quick, and then we'll continue construction. So now we've cut out the 5-track pieces, the little sign, as well as the station building. We can get to building. Now the track for ArieForce One is built on a white steel lattice structure. It's designed to kind of look like an old wooden coaster, but it's completely steel. The rails on it are red and blue. And to show that there's 2 different color rails, I don't know if you can see that in the video, but on the track it's actually printed red on one side and blue on the other side. You can see my pieces are a little bit bent. We should be able to straighten that out a little bit once we start putting it together. But let's jump right into assembly. So the first piece we're going to be doing is going to be the start of the coaster. So the station area, lift hill, first drop, and Raven truss dive. Now once you start building, one of the things you'll notice is that most of the pieces only fit in one place. And so if something doesn't fit, try not to force it. That's really how you're going to mess something up. So for this piece here, we're going to start here at the end, at the Raven truss dive. So we're going to be starting on the narrow end of the base plate. There's just one single tab that this fits into, and we can drop that down into place. And then once we put it in place, you'll see that there's a little tab underneath that needs to be folded over. You'll just want to fold that over with your fingers. Some of these you'll want to look and make sure that there's not another single tab next to it. If there is, you'll want to bend away from that. This one there's not. But when we get to the second one, so this longer tab here, we're going to drop it into place. Next to that, there's actually going to be a tab for the return track right next to it. And so for this one, we're actually going to want to bend it the opposite direction there to hold that into place. Then we'll get to where the station is, and then there's a quick turnaround right before the station. I don't like to typically pre-bend my track. Sometimes with some of the bigger turns you have to. I like to just kind of follow the base plate here with my fingers. But we can drop these last two tabs here into place, bend over the bottom tabs, and once again you want to make sure that you're not folding over and covering up any other slots here. So there's all those pieces in place. Now we can kind of just go around the track and make sure that it's really straight. So there's our first piece installed. So our second piece is going to pick up from the base of that Raven truss dive and go into the stall, and then into this big outer bank turn that we have that kind of goes around the entrance to the park. So we're going to start at the base of the Raven truss dive with the smallest tab here. There's a single little hole there that we can drop it into, and then there's another single hole kind of at the entrance to the Raven truss dive right in here that we can drop into place. And then after that we have two longer tabs, one right before the stall and one right after the stall that we can also drop in. And then here at the outer bank there's going to be kind of a wide turn. So once again we're just going to follow the shaping on the base plate. I didn't pre-bend this piece at all. I just kind of followed what's printed on the base plate, and I'm going to kind of mold it into place that way. I think if you pre-bend it, you're probably going to get some pretty sharp bends, where most of these coasters have pretty gradual turns. And then once we have it in place, we can bend over the bottom of each of these tabs, once again making sure that we don't cover up anything that we shouldn't be covering up. And then once again, just kind of give everything a one over, make sure it's pretty straight, make sure that you're happy with the way it looks. And there's track piece number 2 installed. Track piece 3 is going to continue back towards the arcade building here. So we have kind of the double up here, and then we're just going to start where we left off with this big tab here, continue back. This is going to be a pretty easy piece to put in place. It's mostly straight, with just a slight turn here at the end. And then there's 3 tabs on the bottom to fold over. And there's our third track piece in place. The fourth piece is going to continue where we left off with the turnaround back behind the arcade station. Now this is kind of a sharper turnaround, and it's very round. So sometimes with these I like to use batteries to help me shape it. So I'm actually going to put the first tab in place first, just kind of continuing where we left off. And then here I have a C-cell battery to help me kind of round the track. C-cell may be a little bit big, but it's also going to help me just kind of get a smooth curvature around this turnaround. And then once we kind of have it there, then we can just continue bending it by hand, but this helps me at least get the start of the curvature so that we get it kind of uniform. So there's our behind the arcade turnaround. And then the final piece is just going to continue from that. It's going to be the quad down and then the hop up into the brake run. Very violent part of the ride if you've ever ridden it, but still a lot of fun. So we're going to just once again continue where we left off here. And this piece is going to be 100% straight, just connecting the first and last pieces that we did. Then we'll bend over the 2 tabs underneath. And then just kind of go around the whole track and make sure once again everything's straight, everything lines up. Make sure that where the track pieces come together, that everything's lined up and connected. Just make sure that it looks good. And that's going to be our final piece there. And so there's the completed track layout. Now the last steps from the kit are going to be to add the station building and the sign. The station building, if you've ever done a Nanocoaster, they're all the same. They're all these little house buildings. So it's just kind of a flat piece of metal that we're going to bend into a house shape. And then we can drop this over the station area. This is actually probably the most realistic building. A lot of stations are a lot more complex. ArieForce One is pretty basic, kind of looks like a little barn. So this is kind of the right look here for it. And so that's going to be our little station building. And then the last step is going to be to add our little sign with the logo. And so this is going to drop into place, bend over the tab underneath, and just kind of bend the sign back a little bit. And so that's the full completed kit from CoasterDynamix. So one thing I do like to add to the bottom of these coaster kits is a piece of adhesive felt. The bottom of the kits, because of the metal tabs, they're kind of rough, they can scratch up your surface. And so here I have some adhesive felt from Amazon. I've already actually used this for another Nanocoaster. And so to use this, we're gonna lay this Nanocoaster here in place, and I like to use one of the straight edges if I can. So right here, we're gonna use this long straight edge against the edge so we don't have to cut out the whole thing. But now I can just trace around the rest of this with a pencil. And then I'm gonna simply cut it out. I like to cut just inside the line. The line is on the outside of the base, and it's a little bit nicer if you just have the felt be a little bit smaller than the actual base. If it goes all the way to the edge, you can kind of trim it a little bit afterwards. But like I said, it's a little bit easier if you just start with it a little bit inside. And so I'm gonna cut around this really quick and then we'll get it installed. So there we have the felt cut out and ready to go. To install this, I'm just gonna start by simply peeling away the paper on one of the ends and tearing that away. And then we'll line up the model over the felt, making sure it's completely covering it, and then press down to just connect this one end. And then we can kind of lift this up and peel away the rest of the paper. And then I like to use the edge of the table here to help me guide it and install the rest of the felt, just to make sure we can kind of keep it lined up. The felt can stretch, and so this kind of helps you make sure that you're not stretching it or bending it, so that it kind of stays with the coaster. You can see here at the end I have a little bit that's extra. I can grab my scissors and kind of trim that away. And that's going to complete ArieForce One from Fun Spot America theme park in Atlanta. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below. If you didn't, well, that's fine as well, but you did get this far. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'll have more Nanocoaster and coaster cutout videos coming soon. I believe the next video will probably be the VelociCoaster cutout. However, that may change if I get another Nanocoaster before then, so we'll see. Thanks and have a great day.